Hello, welcome back. Today, we're gonna take all of the front accessories off of this motor here and put it on our motor. So if that sounds interesting, stick around. All right, we're gonna take off the alternator, the water pump, the AC compressor, the power steering pump, the crankshaft balancer, the balancer pulley, the timing cover, and the oil pan, as well as both exhaust manifolds and both accessory brackets. Gotta be strategic about this. You need to remove everything from this drive system, but remember where it all goes and how it all connects. Well, let's start with taking off the belt. And I cannot find any markings on this belt at all, so we may hold on to it just so we can measure the length. Okay, belt is easy, water pump is easy. Maybe we just pull the water pump first. We'll start with that. All right, here we go, got the water pump off. I think we're gonna take the balancer off next, and then we're gonna pull the timing cover. I wanna look at the balancer and the timing cover on our engine and make sure that the top dead center mark on this actually lines up with top dead center on cylinder number 1. Sometimes the timing covers and the balances are different, so I really wanna figure that out while we still have the heads off so we can actually look at the piston and do it really easily. So I'm gonna pull the balancer off next. Finish it out puller. Now we're going to pull off the timing cover, which actually we can't pull off without pulling some of the fan bolts. So we're going to crank it up higher, get the creeper seat, and pull the fan bolts. Pull the whole fan. A lot of water coming out of this thing, dude. Jeez. Dude said, "Oh, I hope you get it running again. It's going to be great." About your motor. That's nasty. Granted, I don't know how much of that was since it's been here, but that's not good. Good thing we have a different motor. Alright, we're going to go wash this timing cover. And then once we wash it, we're going to check and make sure it's actually going to work on our engine with this balancer. Because otherwise we're going to need a different balancer or a different timing cover. Or we could probably use this one and just modify it. Which is most likely what we'll do because we're cheap. Let's go wash this part. Here's some Cletus footage. Run, Cletus. Let's go test fit. All right, so we're good. We're set. We have our cylinder number 1 set at top dead center, exactly where it should be. We have our timing mark here on our balancer, going right at the middle of that V right there, which is exactly where top dead center is supposed to be. Remind me to Loctite those and torque them down before I put the timing cover on. I'm going to hold you to that. If you don't do that, then the whole motor's going to have a bad day and I'm going to be unhappy and it's going to be your fault. Just for future reference, this is where this strut bar goes. It goes to the exhaust here and then it goes all the way up to the back of the alternator. So this is a note from me for when I'm reassembling. This is where it goes. Little 3/8 bolt here. Whatever that is there. Put that on the impact. Got the whole accessory drive torn down. Then the only other things we need are the motor mounts and the exhaust manifolds. And then we should be good to start assembly on the other block. other side. Alright, got our oil pan clean. It's not perfectly clean, but it's going to be clean enough. Next up, we got to clean up our timing cover. To do that, I actually have to look and see if we have a new crank seal in our gasket kit. Let's look and see. I don't know, we might just reuse this. It's kind of sketchy, but it's still solid. It still feels like rubber. It's not falling apart. Alright, our timing cover is pretty close to clean. Clean enough it'll seal up. We're gonna go ahead and torque down the cam bolts, and then we're gonna throw this puppy on. I may have neglected to clean off the mating surface for the timing cover on the block, so we're gonna do that real quick. Cletus! You definitely don't have to do this, but I'm going to anyway. Make sure you use this stuff, the non-hardening, if you're gonna put this and the paper gasket. The surface is not quite perfect, but also I like to use it just to hold the gasket in place. Just a tiny little bit, a really thin layer will help hold it in place, and I'm only gonna put it on one side. Here we are. Timing cover is installed. Probably going to wire brush this off just so we can set timing more easily later. But next thing we're going to do is flip the engine over and install the oil pump and the oil pan. I may have forgotten the rear main seal cover or holder, this thing. So now we have to clean that too. So, hooray! Pretty good. Now we move on to cleaning up the block, and then smack a gasket on it. Smack our rear main seal in there, and then put that on, and then we can put the oil pan on, and we're just one step closer to having an assembled engine. Cleaning this is not going to be fun. We have a nicely clean surface for our rear main seal cover to sit on. And earlier, a long time ago, while we were cleaning the crankshaft, we got this surface all prepared for the actual rear main seal to sit up against. So it should be pretty good. So now we've got to put the actual rear main seal itself, which we have here. Have to install it into our holder and then put it all on the car. Fun times. We have our lovely rear main seal installed. And now we can put it back on the engine stand. We're going to use the beefy engine stand since we're going to be assembling everything. And then take it off the cherry picker and put the oil pan on. Alright, Permatex rules for silicone gaskets. Don't go crazy, because it can still fuck stuff up. Permatex is a lot better than RTV. If you use RTV and a silicone gasket, you will mess it up. The RTV will expand as it hardens, and it'll actually push the silicone gasket out of the way, and that's not good. The Permatex that we're going to use is not going to do that. It doesn't do that at all. But you still don't want to use too much because it makes the surface slippery, and that can also make the silicone gasket slide out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in 4 places. Kind of, maybe a few more. The important spots are the corners. So here, here, and then on that end, both of those. Those are the important spots. The silicone has a really hard time filling those gaps, so you just give a little extra help on the pan side and on the block side, and that'll help a lot. Now, near the corners on the rear, we have these seams here. I'll show you on this side so you can see a little better. This seam from the rear main cover to the actual block, that is not perfectly level. So there's a drop down right there. And the Permatex will definitely help that seal properly as well. So technically 10 spots. We're gonna put just a little dab of Permatex. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4 on the pan. Keeping up? Cool. The important thing is that you put the dipstick in the right spot. You actually can't install the gasket the wrong way. It doesn't fit. The gaps, the arches are different sizes, but still just pay attention to where the dipstick goes. We have all of our pan bolts, and we have our little, they're like guides basically. They just give a little extra rigidity to the pan so everything clamps down nicely. And you'll end up with 4 big bolts, and those ones go on the corners, and then all the little bolts go in between. Forgot to put our studs back in the rear main cover. So it's actually 2 big bolts at the front and then 2 big nuts at the back. And these bolts are really easy to break, these little 3/8 bolts, so don't crank them too tight. So up next, we got to clean our cylinder heads. They're fully assembled and look very nice, but the mating surface has old head gasket material on it and a bunch of rust on it. So we're going to try to find a good spot to set that down, and then we're going to sit and do some cleaning on it. Looks pretty good. I don't see any markings that say this side up, so they may just be non-directional. I know with some MLS gaskets it matters which way goes up. I guess in this case it doesn't. So we're gonna go ahead and acetone the head and then throw it on there and we'll be good to go. So our goal is 70 foot-pounds, pound-feet, whatever. And we're gonna do it in 3 steps. The first one is we're gonna do it right about 25, and maybe we'll go to 55, and then we'll do 70. Now, what you wanna do is you wanna follow a pattern. Matters less with cast iron heads and cast iron blocks, but if you're using aluminum anything, you wanna be very careful. Basically, the pattern you wanna do with cylinder heads, you wanna start in the middle of the cylinder head and work your way out. On Chevys, it's actually pretty easy to keep track of everything. So this one here is the very middlemost bolt, and then you do these 2, and then you'll do these 2, and then you'll do these 2, and then you'll do these 2, and you just keep switching back and forth, and that way it clamps it down straight and clamps it down evenly. Like I said again, with cast iron heads, they don't really warp that much. Aluminum heads are much softer and they're much more prone to warpage, so you got to be careful. If you start all at one end and go to the other end, you may end up damaging your head gasket seal. Won't actually seat properly. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna go up to 55. 70. It's up against the wall. All right, now we got to clean the other head and then put it on. We've already seen that once, so we're just going to time lapse this and get it over pretty quick for you. So see you in a minute. Okay, we're all clean. Now here's something that I just saw. I just noticed now that I probably should have looked for before I, spent time and money on these heads, but we're gonna point it out and see if it matters. This right here, I don't know if you can see it. There's a perfect line right across here, and there's one right across here, and there's one right across here, and there's one right across here. Now I may not be a smart man, but I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be like that. Now they're not super deep. You can see I can catch a fingernail on them. So I don't know. What we're gonna do, which I would not advise for you to do if you care about anything that you're assembling. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some of that non-hardening sealant on the head gasket. We're gonna torque them fuckers down. And I've got a compression tester. We're gonna put shop air to it, like 150 PSI of air to it, and see if it leaks cylinder to cylinder. And if it does, then we cry, because then we're gonna have to pull this head back off. Probably ought to pull the other head back off at that point, and we're gonna have to machine shop them just to, mill them a little bit. Probably not more than 5 thousandths. But enough that we're gonna have to take it off and send it to a machine shop for a week or two. But if they don't leak, then we're good. Not ideal, not ideal. But hey, whatever, right? Yeah, we're ready to put it on. I'm gonna go get the other gasket and set the other gasket on. And then we're going to set the head back on. I think we might just get away with that. Awesome. We're about to put the lifters in, and then we're gonna we've got several sets of push rods. We're gonna take different ones and see if we have a set that'll work. If not, then we'll get a pretty decent idea of what size will work, and we'll get some ordered. So here goes some lifter installation. Got all our lifters in. There's really no science to it, just throw them in. And now we got to start seeing if our push rods are even close to the right length. I'll tell you right now that that one is definitely not the right length. So we're going to probably pull all the push rods out of the parts car motor, and we'll pull one set out anyway and see if it's the right size. But clean enough. Not very straight either, and it's way too short. So we need about another, I don't know, probably ½ inch. Maybe more even. Yep. All right, so we'll order some push rods. All right, yeah, that's not gonna work. We need to order some push rods, but that's okay. Kind of figured that was gonna be the case. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna clean up the front mating surface here for the water pump, and then we will install our water pump, and we'll start getting all the bracketry and everything figured out on the front here. Ourselves a nice clean gasket mating surface here on the water pump and on the block. And then the other thing we did was to clean some of the rust off of where the hose is going to go on later, so it'll hopefully seal up to our hose. Gotta go find our gaskets, and then we're gonna isopropyl alcohol wipe these down, and or no, we got acetone, whatever. Wipe these down a little bit, and then throw our gaskets on there, and then throw our water pump on there, and then we'll be Gucci. Gucci Mane!
Gucci Mane!
Got her all nice and slimed up. You don't need to do this, it'll just help hold the gasket in place while you're putting the water pump on. But I am going to put this on the other side too. I'm going to put it on the water pump side because the surfaces aren't quite perfect. There's a little bit of pitting, so it'll help seal up some of those imperfections. All right, another little tip for you. Most of your water pump gaskets will come with 2 identical gaskets like this. On this side of the block, there's actually no hole for this part of the gasket to line up with. Don't worry about it. Just throw it on there and it'll be fine. Ratchet has turned into a wrench.
That just turned into a wrench now.
No longer ratchets. Our water pump is installed. We spent a little bit of time cleaning the pulley up, just a little bit. It was kind of rusty. It's still kind of rusty, but it's way better than it was. So hopefully it'll hold onto the belt pretty well and not slip too bad right off the rip. Next, I think we're going to install our balancer right here, and then we're going to do this bracket on this side, and then we're going to try to do this bracket on this side and see if it'll stay. It may not fit at all. The mounting holes are kind of a little cattywampus, but we may just send it and see how we do. All right, this is our sealing surface here for our front crank seal, which is this one here that we did not replace. So if anything's going to leak, it's probably going to be this one. On this particular engine, all we would have to remove would be, I think, the balancer. And I think we could probably pry that off and knock a new one in without removing the cover. So not a huge deal if it does leak. Anyway, we want to make sure it actually seals properly, so we clean off all the rust and grossness on this, and we're actually going to clean or lube it up with a little bit of oil before we smack it on in there. We have a puller to remove this balancer. We used that, I think, earlier in this episode to take it off the other engine. And you should go get an installer, but I'm going to use this. But you should probably rent an installer. Okay, here's your tech tip if you're doing this the wrong way like I am. Make sure your threads are clean, oil them, and make sure you got a good bit of threadage. So this is started here. We've got a whole, whatever that is, probably close to a ½ inch of threads. And also I'm going to recommend do it by hand with a hand tool. Otherwise you can pretty easily pull the threads out of the crank. And then you're having a really bad day after that. So if you're gonna do it the wrong way, do it the wrong way correctly. If you ever want to check your alignment, get your pulley on there and check it with a known good spacing on a pulley. So you see how it's centered there on the water pump pulley, so we know it's pressed all the way in, and then we're good to go. Now we're going to put the other bracket on there We're gonna start with the, I guess that's the driver's side bracket, and then we're gonna put the passenger side bracket on after that. All right, we've got our bracket on here. We're do the same thing we did to the other ones. We're gonna clean up the power steering pulley here. And then next we're gonna throw on our alternator up here. And then the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw our AC compressor bracket on there. Okay, we got super lucky. I was checking everything and it looked pretty grim, but this bolt here goes straight for that bolt in the back of the head. So we've got 1, 2, 3 here. We don't have a bolt in here at all, but I think we're gonna be just fine. It's just the tensioner and the AC compressor here. So we're just gonna send it and see what happens. And of course, we're not putting the smog pump back in because we don't need that shit. So, all right, onto the alternator. Another reason this is probably gonna be fine, we've got a bracket here that's gonna go to the exhaust manifold here. So that'll hold it a little bit. And then this bracket here goes to the intake. I don't know if it'll line up with our intake at all, but if it does, then we'll have another extra piece of support. So that's another reason I'm not concerned about missing out that one bolt. We've got a bunch of extra bracketry to hold everything on. Yeah. Be careful on this one because these fan blades here are sharp. We have our other bracket on there. We have our alternator on there. We have all of our accessories. Everything's happy and sealed up. This is as far assembled as we get it this week. We ran out of parts. We got the wrong parts and we don't have time for waiting for new parts. So this is what you get. Not quite really a full long block. I guess technically a long block is just heads in an oil pan. I don't know, it depends on who you ask, but here we are. This is what we got. Got all of our front accessories on and got our heads on and got our lifters in. And this is where we're gonna be. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, then leave a like. If you didn't like it, then tell me why. We will see you next time, where hopefully we get everything put back together fully and we put it in that thing. So stick around for that. Thanks for watching.